Before anything else, a quick and direct request, because this really helps the work here. If this content informs you, entertains you, or keeps you updated on what really matters in the NBA, hit the like button now and subscribe. It's simple and free, but it makes all the difference so more fans receive this video and so we can keep bringing deep analysis, hot news, and debates that go beyond the superficial. Clicking the like button and turning on the notification bell makes sure you don't miss anything that's happening with your favorite players and teams. With that done, let's get into it. The scene was exactly this. Late on Christmas night, the house completely silent after the celebrations, and that classic channel surfing on TV before going to sleep. Nothing planned, no expectation of anything explosive happening. Suddenly, I land on the late edition of SportsCenter still going over the Christmas games in the NBA. Normally, that kind of show at that hour only brings the best highlights and final scores, no big debates, because it's already past midnight and most people have gone to bed. Only this time, something was different. There were still 4 very familiar figures in the studio: Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson. Not only were they still there, they were deep into an intense conversation about Cooper Flagg's performance, and trade rumors spread across the entire league. It was in that moment that the feeling completely changed. When Charles Barkley dropped, almost like something that slipped out without being planned, a line involving Giannis Antetokounmpo and the possibility of him wanting New York as a destination, the tone of the debate shifted instantly. The focus went from the young Christmas standouts to the veterans who might be moved soon. That's when one specific name started moving toward the center of the discussion: DeRozan linked to the Golden State Warriors. The kind of connection that makes any fan sit up straighter on the couch, turn the volume up, and pay attention to every word before that turning point. Ernie had thrown a curiosity question to the panel, with that look of someone who knows he's about to catch everyone off guard. He asked who had been the last rookie to post at least 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a Christmas game before what Cooper Flagg had just done. The guesses started. LeBron James came up, Michael Jordan came up, Magic Johnson came up, and nobody got it right. Laughter, jokes, until the correct answer came: Pete Maravich, back in 1970. That broke the ice, but it also opened the door to a much deeper debate than just historical stats. Right after that, they rolled footage of Warriors versus Lakers. It was clear how Golden State had played a very high-level first half. Trace Jackson Davis showing up with a strong presence, Andrew Wiggins hitting an impressive run of 3-pointers in a single quarter, giving the team a solid lead. The scoreboard was 71-58 when those plays were on screen. Stephen Curry was crossing the 26,000-point mark in his career, yet another proof of how great he is and what he represents. Jokes about him passing the ball, laughter in the studio, but behind that, there was something very serious. Time is passing, and the window to compete for titles alongside Curry is not going to last forever. Cooper Flagg also appeared in the highlights, with a mature and dominant performance for someone so young, putting up 27 points and 6 rebounds. But the turning point of the conversation came when Charles Barkley clearly stated that, in his view, the Dallas Mavericks needed a total rebuild. Shaquille agreed right away. The reasoning came right after. According to them, Dallas is simply not among the 4 best teams in the West and, at the same time, does not have enough draft capital to organically grow the roster. That puts the franchise at a crossroads from there. The debate gained another layer. Shaq brought an interesting perspective on the development of young talents like Cooper Flagg. He compared it to Kevin Durant's arrival in the league, showing how valuable it is when a rookie can grow alongside already established veterans, like what happened with Ray Allen at the end of his career. The idea is simple. Even if the rookie puts up a high volume of points, sharing the responsibility with ready-made stars keeps him from being suffocated by double teams and excessive pressure right from the start. Kenny partially agreed, saying he likes to see young players taking on more responsibilities mainly in the second half of the season when they've already adjusted to the pace and weight of the games. But Barkley brought another angle, saying that franchises like Dallas could help contenders immediately if they traded some of their veterans, since the East is more open than many people think. It was the perfect hook to bring up the list of experienced players who can change the landscape of the league if they are traded names, started coming up with no sugarcoating. C.J. McCollum, Trae Young, Jay Morant, Zion Williamson, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Kenny commented that Giannis would like to play in New York. Barkley pushed back right away, saying he has never stated that directly. Ernie came in with a crucial point. It's very easy to imagine blockbuster trades in a studio conversation, but when contracts, salaries, and the real level of talent enter the equation, everything becomes much more complicated than it seems. Still, the seed had been planted. Big stars and important veterans really can change teams. Barkley's frustration with the narrative around Milwaukee and Giannis was one of the strongest moments. He argued passionately that the franchise has done everything to surround him with the best possible roster, citing impactful acquisitions like Damian Lillard and even behind-the-scenes moves involving family. The central message was clear. Some organizations truly move to win now and do not stay stuck in fear of taking risks, and that is exactly the point where everything starts to connect directly to the Golden State Warriors and DeRozan. When you talk about title windows, about not wasting the final peak years of a superstar, and about being aggressive in decision-making, you are describing precisely Golden State's current situation. Stephen Curry is still playing at an absurd level, but he is not eternal. Ignoring that would be turning a blind eye to reality. That's where DeRozan comes to the center of the conversation, not as some vague hint, but as a concrete technical and strategic fit. DeRozan is the kind of player who solves specific gaps for Golden State. One-on-one scoring when the offense stalls, mid-range shot creation, heavy playoff experience, and a mature reading of the game. He doesn't need to monopolize the ball, but he can decide possessions when called upon. Exactly the profile that complements Curry and the style that the team's motion and spacing system demands one relevant detail. There has already been real interest between the parties in the recent past. Before signing with his current destination, DeRozan considered possibilities involving Golden State. That shows the fit is not just theoretical. The dialogue existed. The team's style would favor the mid-range game he dominates like few others. With defenses obsessed with guarding Curry on the perimeter, that 12 to 18-foot space would open up countless times per game, where DeRozan is lethal at the same time. Golden State needs to ease the offensive load on Curry's shoulders. When he goes to the bench, the team often feels a drop in creation and organization. DeRozan is capable of taking over in those minutes, functioning as a secondary or even primary creator, reading screens, running pick and rolls, and involving his teammates. That kind of presence prevents those stretches of offensive drought that kill playoff games from an emotional and career standpoint. It makes sense for both sides. DeRozan, already a veteran, is no longer trying to prove anything with individual numbers. What he's missing is a ring. Golden State, on the other hand, wants to take its last steps with Curry competing at the top, and that doesn't happen just with hope. It requires firm moves, the courage to trade young players for immediate impact, and acceptance that winning now has a cost. Yes, there is the issue of salary and assets. It's not simple to put together a package. It involves picks, contracts, and possibly young players like Kuminga or Moody, but it's also not fantasy. Teams with a winning history usually pay that price when they believe they are one player away from getting back to the top. And, looking at the context, DeRozan may very well be that player. The whole discussion that night, which started with curiosities about Cooper Flagg and ended up going through Giannis, Milwaukee, Dallas, and available veterans, leads to the same conclusion. Title windows close without warning. Either you act or you watch time take your chance away. And today, when we talk about Golden State and Stephen Curry, talking about urgency is not exaggeration. It's reality, whether the fit will actually happen or not, whether the price will be considered too high, or whether some other franchise will step in and cut the line. That's another story. But the basketball logic is there, crystal clear. DeRozan on Golden State is not just a random rumor in the air. It's basketball logic, career timing, roster need, and a cold reading of what the league demands from those who truly want to be champions, following exactly from where we left off. It is important to stitch all these points together so that everything makes sense in a broader picture of the league. When you look at the Golden State Warriors today, you don't just see a team trying to fix specific flaws. You see an organization dealing with the weight of its own history, with 4 recent titles, and the responsibility of not wasting the final years of one of the greatest players basketball has ever seen. The name Stephen Curry carries expectations, and every roster decision necessarily passes through what is still possible to achieve while he continues playing at an elite level. DeRozan's fit in this equation is not a random idea. It is a natural consequence of this context. He represents exactly the type of talent that raises a team's competitive ceiling. DeRozan is a veteran who understands game tempo, knows how to slow the game down when everything is too fast, and has that rare ability to score even against set defenses, a key trait in playoff series. When the game slows down and tactical systems stack on top of each other, the one who decides is the player capable of creating his own shot in the tightest spaces on the court. Golden State's offensive style has always been marked by constant movement, cuts, and fast-paced shots. As time has gone by and the roster has naturally aged, maintaining that standard for 48 minutes has become more difficult. DeRozan, with his mid-range precision, would fill exactly the stretches when the offense stalls, offering a totally different alternative from the high volume of three-point attempts. He expands the team's offensive menu and forces opposing defenses to guard every area of the court, not just the perimeter when we talk about fitting everything together. It is also about locker room and hierarchy. Curry is the technical and emotional reference. Draymond Green sets the competitive and defensive tone. Klay Thompson represents persistence and the memory of the championships. DeRozan arrives as someone who respects this structure already in place and adds to it without needing to reorder roles. He is no longer chasing absolute protagonism, he is chasing a winning context, and that is exactly what makes a union like this work without internal friction. One of the most debated points on that show was the notion of a competitive window. Cooper Flag served as a symbol of the future, of potential, while the comments about Dallas and Milwaukee showed the tension between present and tomorrow. This is where everything fits together even more clearly. Golden State is not living a long-term project based on patience. It is living a present that demands immediate answers. In this scenario, betting on young players for 3 or 4 years from now makes less sense than investing in ready veterans. Even if that costs picks and promising prospects, when you place this alongside what was said about Giannis and Milwaukee, the parallel closes. Milwaukee moved to give its great star the best roster possible, and tried, got some things wrong, got others right, but it acted. The criticism there was not about a single result, but about competitive intent. Golden State needs the same drive. Staying still is, in practice, moving backward when rivals strengthen themselves, and the Western Conference remains ruthless. The conversation about New York and the trade possibilities only reinforced how the league lives in permanent boiling. Star players think about legacy, about real chances at a title, about environments where their traits are optimized. DeRozan, when he looks at a structured team with a defined tactical identity and a recent history of winning, finds in the Warriors a scenario that answers exactly those questions. He fits on the court, he fits the philosophy, and he fits the moment of his career. The psychological factor cannot be ignored. Playing next to Curry changes everything. The defensive attention he draws opens driving lanes, frees up open shots, and prevents help from being overly concentrated. DeRozan has never had alongside him a shooter with that kind of constant offensive gravity. That means the space for his mid-range game would be larger than at any other point in his career, boosting his numbers and impact without requiring an increase in volume. It is the perfect sum of complementary talents from a defensive and tactical standpoint. The presence of Draymond Green helps cover any limitations and organize the defense so that DeRozan is not exposed. Golden State's system has always been built on smart coverages, well-communicated switches, and constant adjustments. A disciplined veteran with solid game reading like DeRozan can fit into this kind of mechanism without major disruptions. He does not arrive to reinvent anything. He arrives to strengthen what already exists. The discussion on the show also touched on something crucial: organizational courage. Teams that win a lot tend to cling to the past. The risk is high of believing that the same formula will simply start working again on its own. The final fit of these ideas lies in accepting that, to stay on top, you paradoxically need to change. DeRozan symbolizes this calculated change, which does not destroy the team's identity, but updates its competitive tools. There is also the impact on the young players on the roster. Instead of carrying responsibilities beyond the ideal point of maturity, they would develop in an environment with diluted pressure, learning from veterans who have already faced every type of scenario. This was exactly what Shaq mentioned when speaking about Cooper Flagg and the importance of growing surrounded by experienced players. That creates a winning culture and accelerates development without skipping steps in terms of league narrative. Everything ties into a larger picture. You have a young phenomenon emerging, like Cooper Flagg, reminding everyone that the future has already arrived. At the same time, you have legendary veterans like Curry, reminding everyone that the present is not over yet. Between these two extremes are players like DeRozan, who build the bridge, who turn potential into real results. It is in this intersection that championships are won when we say that everything fits. It is because the pieces really speak to each other. Golden State needs secondary creation, reliable scoring outside the three-point line, quiet leadership, and playoff experience. DeRozan offers exactly that. He needs a winning environment, offensive spacing, players who draw defensive attention, and a clear tactical structure. The Warriors offer exactly that. It is not an abstract idea, it is practical complementarity. The impact in crunch time is also evident. How many times have we seen, in recent seasons, Curry being forced to decide absolutely everything, even on nights of high physical wear? With DeRozan, those moments would be shared. In close games, having 2 or 3 different sources of offensive creation completely changes the opponent's defensive layout. No one can double everybody at the same time without giving up something vital for the coaching staff. The range of lineups increases. Units with Curry, Clay, DeRozan, and Draymond offer extreme flexibility. You can go small, speed up, slow down, exploit the mid-range, punish defensive switches. Each piece raises the value of the other, and that is what separates a good roster from a truly title-contending roster. The final reading of that TV debate, which started with Christmas curiosities and ended with a reflection on the future of several franchises, is exactly this. There is no more room for inertia. Teams that have a star of this magnitude on the roster must act with responsible urgency. The past guarantees nothing. The future does not wait. The present demands difficult decisions. The Golden State Warriors and DeMar DeRozan then appear as two trajectories that intersect at the right moment. A team looking for one last big push. A player looking for the ideal situation to turn a remarkable career into a championship career. When the needs on one side meet the resources on the other, the fit stops being theory and becomes a concrete opportunity. Kai returned to the court with an impressive performance, reaffirming his status as one of the most promising talents in Asian basketball. In a recent game against Kyoto, he delivered a spectacular performance, scoring 20 points, grabbing 4 rebounds, and dishing out 3 assists. These numbers not only stand out in the stats, but also showcase the constant evolution of a player who becomes more complete with each game. From the first minute, it was clear he was ready to shine. Combining height, agility, and technical skills, he dominated the paint, leaving opposing defenders without answers. His mid-range shots were sharp, a reflection of the continuous effort he dedicates to improving his game. Moreover, his court vision became evident in decisive moments, distributing assists and connecting his teammates in important plays. When the game reached its most tense moments, Kai took responsibility, showing leadership and composure. In the third quarter, he made a memorable play by dribbling past 2 defenders, converting a crucial basket, and hitting the free throw after being fouled. Plays like this not only excite the crowd, but also highlight his ability to perform under pressure. a key trait for any player with ambitions of reaching the NBA. His fans have plenty of reasons to be excited. Kai is about to hit historic milestones in the B-League. With just 76 points remaining to reach 1,000 career points, he is approaching a select group of players known for their offensive consistency. Additionally, he has already surpassed 500 rebounds, establishing himself as a dominant presence in the paint on both offense and defense. He not only protects the painted area with authority, but also creates crucial second-chance opportunities for his team. Another important achievement is nearing. He is just 4 assists away from reaching 100 assists in the league. This reinforces his ability to create opportunities and involve his teammates in strategic plays. These numbers directly reflect the impact Kai brings to the court. His combination of imposing physicality, technical ability, and tactical intelligence makes him one of the most complete players in the league. Every point, rebound, and assist brings him closer not only to records but also to the dream of playing in the NBA. His performance has caught the attention of analysts and commentators who already consider him a player capable of raising the competitive level of the B-League. Comparisons with great past big men are starting to emerge, highlighting his potential to leave a legacy in international basketball. But for Kai, more than statistics or records, the important thing is to keep evolving and making his mark in every game. Kai Sotto's future has been one of the most debated topics among fans and experts, and one of the most mentioned destinations for him in the NBA is the Golden State Warriors. The franchise's fans have already started a campaign on social media asking for his signing, believing he could be the missing piece to strengthen the team. The Warriors are known for their fast and dynamic style of play, with an emphasis on long-distance shooting and constant movement. However, one of the team's weak points has been the lack of a dominant presence in the paint, someone who can protect the defensive area, grab rebounds, and bring balance to the team. Kai fits exactly that profile. His impressive height and game-reading ability are characteristics that could transform the Warriors' performance. Moreover, his international experience, facing different styles of basketball around the world, makes him an interesting prospect for a franchise looking to refresh its roster without sacrificing competitiveness. For the Warriors, signing Kai would represent a low-risk, high-potential move. He has already demonstrated his ability to contribute both defensively and offensively, being an efficient finisher near the basket and constantly improving his mid-range shot. Combining this with his competitive mindset and dedication to improvement, he would fit well into the team's system. The fans are excited about this possibility, knowing that players with Kai's skill set and potential are rare. For many, he could be exactly what the team needs to get back to competing for the top spot in the NBA. If you like the content, leave a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything about the Warriors. Thanks, and see you in the next video.